Today, I'm going to teach you how to put together a coaching plan that is simple, comprehensive, and gives you the results that you're looking for. Hi, my name's Irina. I've been in leadership roles for about 20 years, and my goal with this channel is to pass on my experience so that others can benefit and grow their skill set. Let's jump right in. Today, we're talking about coaching plans. When we get promoted, we are generally expected to immediately start supporting our teams. Unfortunately, in my experience, I've noticed that there's very little to no leadership training when someone is promoted. So you get the title, you get the salary bump, hopefully, but you don't get the skill set. You're not just going to magically know how to manage a team just because you have the title now. And I've seen this make a lot of new leaders sweat and become very, very insecure in what it is that they're doing. And unfortunately, it's unfair. You're kind of setting the person up for failure if you're not providing them with training, but that's just sort of the reality. So, coaching is very, very important to help your team grow, but how do you do that if you've never put together a coaching plan? How do you help your team grow? And so today, what I've done is put together a very simple scorecard slash coaching plan that will show you how you can support your employees and what they can get out of it so that they can actually be successful in their role. And this will also help build your relationships with your employees because they do rely on you to be successful and you rely on them to be successful. Their performance is your responsibility as their leader ultimately. So without further ado, let's jump right in. I'm going to share my screen. And what I have is a simple scorecard slash coaching plan. So a few important factors that I want to cover here are, first of all, the name of the employee you're meeting with should always be on the scorecard. Who is this person? Who does the scorecard belong to? In this case, James Bond. The date that you're meeting with them, and then your name. So I'll be Susan. Generally, right below that, you will see performance goals. Like almost every company has some sort of scorecard reports that they generate. Either a workforce department will generate this, or someone else, some reporting department, or you will generate this yourself, depending on the size of the company and what tools and departments you have available. But the performance goals should always be listed. If I'm James, I need to know what is expected of me. And fortunately, these are numerical targets, so these are pretty easy to understand. So if I'm James, I know I'm an agent in a call center, and these are the metrics that are being measured for me. So we have average handle time, which is how long you spend on the phone with a customer in minutes. The target here is 8 minutes or below. So no phone call should go more than 8 minutes. Average wrap up time, which is the time after the phone call is over until I'm ready to take the next call as an agent. So this goal here is 30 seconds or less. QA, which is quality assurance, the score is usually 90%, 90, I've seen 95% or higher. And that is just the quality of the call that is being graded internally by a manager or a QA department to make sure that the quality that's provided to that customer is up to par, is up to expectation. Abandoned calls are a big one in any call center, and these are usually any call that's not answered. So if I'm James, I'm on the phone, I should be answering all the phone calls that come into my line, unless I'm on break or lunch or in the bathroom, or I'm doing something else, but I'm not expected to be on the phone, right? If I'm expected to be on the phone during that time, the goal for this company is no more than 4 calls per week. I should not miss more than 4 calls per week. And then lastly, we have average speed of answer, which means if I'm James, how quickly am I answering the phone? If that phone is ringing for, excuse me, more than 30 seconds, then I have not met goal. So my goal here is to answer all incoming calls within 30 seconds or less. So below what I've done is I put together a 5 week trend for this particular individual. It's split up, so that kind of sucks, but I think we can all get the point where I took each performance goal and put down, this is all fictional, obviously, but put down how this individual, James, performed in relation to each target that he's expected to meet. So areas that are in green are, you're meeting or exceeding the goal, and areas that are in orange need some work. And so This is pretty easy to understand. And if I'm meeting with James, I'll cover all this information. I would share my screen if I'm remote. If I'm not remote, I'm in the office. I would probably print this out or bring in my laptop and show them, maybe put on a big screen in a conference room, and we would go over this information together. But the important piece in a coaching plan is going to be the actual blueprint for how to reach performance in areas that are in orange. So, as a summary, after we look at all the numerical values, I actually wrote everything out. And this is very, very important because you, as a leader, have to prove that you are meeting with your employees on a regular basis, and you have to document that. That's a basic expectation of any leader. So, as a summary, weeks 2 and 4 met all goals, but there were a couple of times where some things were missed. Primary misses were just like all metrics were missed. Um, Week 3 had AHT, average handle time. And then week 5 had wrap up QA and abandoned calls, right? And so I put down, this is just a summary, like what the coaching focus should be. And then I actually typed out what I expect out of James moving forward. Now, I'm not going to read through all of this. I'll leave it on the screen so that you can read on your own. But I started firstly with the things that James has been doing well, right? It's very important that as leaders, we acknowledge what people do well so that we encourage them and motivate them to continue exhibiting those behaviors. In James's case, over the past 5 weeks, he did a really great job with average speed of answer. He made sure that he's just, constantly answering calls very, very quickly so that he can hit target. And that means he's paying attention to his incoming calls and immediately picking them up. And then, I thank them. So the way I write coaching plans is as if I'm talking to the person because really I am. I am covering all this information verbally in my meeting, my coaching meeting with my employee, in this case, James. And then, if we look back at the stats here, wrap up, he had a little bit of a miss. The target is 30 seconds. Here he missed it by 2 seconds, and here he missed it by one. To me, that's just so close. It's almost like, hey, just focus on it a little bit more, and you'll get there. And that's really what I put in writing here too. Hey, you didn't really meet wrap up last week. You were 1 second away. So I'm confident that if you focus on it, you'll be able to meet again. And then after that, I added all the items that need more attention. So QA, if we go back to QA, we can see that he did okay for 3 weeks, but 2 out of the last 5, he did not score at 90% or higher. And so I it's important that you restate why it's important to meet a specific goal. Okay. It's not just, well, that's the goal, so go ahead and meet it. But I usually explain why that metric exists and what it does. So in this case, I just restated that QA, quality assurance, is an indicator of the quality of the interaction and support that you provide to customers. So it's important that you follow the call flow. So in this case, I had already provided this individual with a call flow that basically has all the QA requirements. And if you follow that call flow, then you should be able to meet all quality assurance requirements and therefore hit target. And what I put down, of course, this is all fictional. QA was missed because James did not express empathy to the customer and they did not offer additional assistance at the end of the call, which I did add this here. It's these are behaviors I've seen you actually do in the past, and you're just missing it, right? Super simple fix. The call flow is going to be your best tool to become consistent in these areas, so just make sure you use it. And then abandoned calls represent customers who call in for support and did not receive it. Please make sure that you're available for customers when they need us. So again, I stated the importance of why that goal exists. It doesn't exist just on its own for no reason because we have nothing better to do as a company. It's there for a reason. And so I restate the goal. And I also outlined that, hey, you've met this in the past. And you also mentioned that sometimes you take off your headphones, you just don't hear a phone call coming in. So just make sure that your headset is on unless you're on lunch or break, and that way you don't miss any calls. And then what I also did is outline what I will be doing for them as their manager, okay? Because it's important that we ask our employees to exhibit a certain type of behavior and give them the tools to do it. But it's also important that we show them what we'll be doing to support them towards those goals. So in this case, I told James, hey, I'll be sending you a daily report on your abandoned calls, so that way you can keep track of your calls until our next meeting. I'm also going to ask that you use the call flow just until it becomes habit for you. And once it does, and you meet QA on a consistent basis, you won't have a need for the call flow. And then I just outline, hey, I'm here to support you. Make sure you reach out if you get stuck, and I'm sure you're gonna make a lot of good progress. So the goal here is to not have a sandwich. I don't believe in the sandwich feedback method where you start with a positive and then you do something negative or say something negative and then you find something else positive to finish with. I just don't believe in it. I think it muddies the waters. I think it muddies the message. I think that people don't understand what just happened in that conversation. So I keep it very, very clean. If someone, whatever areas they're doing well in, I acknowledge that and thank them for it. And then I outline the items that they need to focus on so that they can meet performance in those areas as well. So that's in a nutshell, that's how I've been writing coaching plans for many, many years. I have brought very low performers up to and above expectations when it comes to their metrics and their KPIs. And they feel more confident if they have a blueprint, if they know exactly what they should be doing and exactly what they're missing. You are doing them a service, then that's also your duty as a leader. You have to make sure that you're presenting and sharing metrics with individuals on a regular basis, especially because their annual performance reviews and their potential monetary increases on a yearly basis are based off of these metrics. So you are absolutely required to do this as a leader, if you're a good quality leader, which I'm assuming you are, which is why you're watching this video. So let me know what you think. Let me know what your opinions are, and if you have a different way of approaching coaching and what results you have gotten. I would love to hear from you and your experiences. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing and liking, and I hope you have a phenomenal day.